All right, so we have a Braille job, typical Braille job loaded in iPC here. You can see that there are 3 layers. The first layer is our drill holes. You can see these red drill holes here. The router is going to drill these holes using the specific Braille bit. And if we look at our settings here, we're going to drill from the top of the material only about 1 millimeter deep. Okay, so the general rule of thumb with the Braille is you want half of the Braille bead going into the material and the other half exposed coming out of the top of the material. Okay, these bits are designed with the same diameter of the Braille bead. Therefore, when the bead goes into the material, it'll essentially, once it hits the halfway point, it'll stop and the material will hug the bead. So we find that depth reference from the top, about 1 millimeter, works pretty well. You'll also see how slow our drill settings are. 26 inches speed, 26 inches a minute, 30 acceleration. Speed Z is really the important thing here, very slow, 39 inches a minute, speed Z. So we're going quite slow when we're drilling these holes. And also another very important thing to know is that your max spindle RPM whenever you're using either of the Braille bits is 20,000 RPMs. Okay, they're not balanced bits, so never run them over 20,000 RPMs. And then of course, the other important thing here is that we're clicking the drill hole box in the layer so that the router acts just like a drill press. It doesn't actually go down and cut a hole out, it just drills the hole out. Okay. Our next layer is actually a copy of the first layer, because what's going to happen next is after it drills the hole out, it's going to switch over to the Braille tool, and the Braille tool is going to do the exact same thing. It's just going to drill hole or punch the beads into the material. Okay, so the same Z speed that you have for the router, 39 inches a minute, you're using for the Braille tool. You're also choosing depth reference from top, and you're pressing that bead in. We find that about 20 thousandths from the top, that gives it a nice strong punching action into the material so that the bead stays in place. Okay, and then also you're checking the drill hole in this layer as well. The last layer is just our through cut. So we're just cutting a little rectangle around these Braille beads. When we're finished, really the most important thing in here is that we're set up for acrylic. We have the right acrylic settings, but we also have stop at tool select selected in the layer so that the machine will stop and come home, so we can take that Braille bit out, put the correct acrylic bit in, and finish the job. So let's run this job. We've got a piece of acrylic here. We just have a panel reference point set, and we're going to hit start.